my next career. The mandatory kind of image of the future, this was from Fortune magazine in 1998. Okay, 5 years ago, after the start of the personal computer revolution, remember we didn't have personal computers before 1980, industry experts observed that if the automobile business had developed like the computer business, a Rolls-Royce would cost $2.75 and go 3 million miles on a gallon of gasoline. That gives you some perspective, and that was back 1998. So what's in the future? I mentioned the ultimate future is the Star Trek. Think about computer. You go to the computer and you ask a question and you get the answer. There's none of this mashing of teeth and carrying things and things like that, although there's one computer. I don't know if they're all over. The reality is today we have Watson, who's smarter than human beings in a certain set of questions. And what's really interesting, how many people have seen the Knowledge Navigator that was put out by Apple in 1980? Okay, I'm going to take 1 minute and 15 seconds of my time to show you a clip on that, because it was done in 1989. Let me just show it to you. 1 minute and 15 seconds. Sorry, it's blurry. It was blown up. You can see it on YouTube.
Your graduate research team in Guatemala, just checking in. Robert Jordan, a second semester junior, requesting a second extension on his term paper. And your mother reminding you about your father.
Surprise birthday party next Sunday.
Today you have a faculty lunch at 12 o'clock. You need to take Kathy to the airport by 2. You have a lecture at 4:15 on deforestation in the Amazon rainforest.
Right. Let me see the lecture notes from last semester. No, that's not enough. I need to review more recent literature. Pull up all the new articles I haven't read yet.
Journal articles only?
Fine.
Good question.
Your friend Jill Gilbert has published an article about deforestation in the Amazon and its effects on rainfall in the sub-Sahara. It also covers drought's effect on food production in Africa and increasing imports of food.
Contact Jill.
Okay. Back when that film was made, I remember sitting there saying, right, yeah, that's coming really fast. Remember, we had no internet, there was no communications, and there was no World Wide Web. It was really a leap of faith to have seen this vision, and that wasn't very many years ago. Many of us saw that as adults. Another notion of kind of the future, back again in 1993, this is Paul Peters, who is unfortunately deceased. He says, the print world talks of food for thought. In the network world, users will be the prey and information the predator. You don't get on Amazon without that information telling you, how about, wouldn't you like one of these? All of these recommendation systems are really information is seeking you, which is a very different model, and I would submit the model of the future. The required technology change, we saw that in Michael's talk in a different form. The point is the rapid rate of change that's going on. Remember, in 1960, remember quick and quack indexes? When I started my professional career, we had quick and quack indexes, and I'm not that old. So just think, just think about really 38 years from now. That's another whole career lifetime for me. So, what do you see? Librarians are out. You can see those, I pulled down some things from my handy word processor where I now express emotions regularly. Professionals are all about digital. The boundaries are all blurred between the professions. Archivist, information scientist, records manager, computer scientist. Somebody was talking yesterday, I think they said today there are 4,000 job titles for information-related professions. It's just been an incredible proliferation. It's all based on digits, on the eye. This change is well underway. But the functions of what we need in the information and knowledge life cycle, I would contend, and other people did yesterday, we had a nice discussion, are really the same. It's the methods of achieving those functions that are really changing with these kinds of disruptive technologies. So we may not be the integrators of the Watson, the controllers of the Watson, but we do have a role in that whole process. This is quaint. This was from the 80s. This is the generation of knowledge life cycle, starting with composition, recording, production, distribution. You can see physical access, which could be virtual, but physical access. And the organizations that did that, libraries and information centers, abstracting and indexing services. But if you look at what functions are on there, people still have to generate, have to create, record, reproduce, organize. People have to find it and then see it, although those two things are instantaneous today, assimilate it, and then start all over again. So the functions really haven't changed very much. It's just the way we do it. So what are the challenges? And I am having some of the same challenges as Anne very directly. I picked 4. There are a lot more, but these are the 4 that came to me when I was busily writing. Information literacy and the expectations of the users. Information overload, which is not new. Globalization, which is taken out of Anne's playbook. And cultural change, particularly intellectual property regimes and privacy, which hasn't really been mentioned yet. So information literacy. User expectations are completely different. That's the whole disintermediation thing in many ways. I mean, users really just go and do it. Not always the best quality. You know, some people think Wikipedia and Google are enough to know everything. But nonetheless, they do have different expectations, and they go and expect much more. The whole business of digital immigrants versus digital natives. Okay, the digital immigrants, you've all heard this. They're people born with the technology. Digital natives, digital immigrants are the people like me who keep looking over their shoulder. Okay, I use all this stuff, but I'm always looking back over my shoulder. Well, we are in power today, and we can't always really fathom what they're thinking and how they're going to be. But they're going to be in power tomorrow. By 2050, even beyond that generation. So the services to a changing user profile. Let's think about how we do that. I was thinking about a children's reading room. Are we still going to be reading stories to kids? Kids who at 6 years old, at 4 years old are using computers, reading, doing science, doing Einstein and all of these things. It's a really very different sense of user community and a different sense of information etiquette and information culture. So let's look at the overload question. By the 1980s, the theme, and this is an old slide I pulled out, and it was done in the early 90s. By the 1980s, the theme was dealing with the crisis of information overload. The irony of the information age is not a problem of scarcity. A Science article in 1983 said information availability is increasing more rapidly than the ability to absorb it. Due to the effectiveness of systems, relevant information is identified, but we don't have the right information at the right time. Technological advances, the problem has even been magnified, and the algorithms for quality discriminators are not yet developed. And this is the challenge. I heard just the other day, it's not a challenge of having too much information, it's a challenge of not being able to analyze that information effectively. So it's not only in degree and kind. But the solutions are really very much in technology. Michael said this morning the agricultural revolution, industrial revolution, now the information revolution. IT is extending the capabilities of our mind power. One of the solutions is information analytics and data mining. These are very hot. So it's machine-to-machine kinds of analysis of the data to expand our ability of things we can't conceive. Think out in 2050 as information as the predator, and think of you as an information professional. How do you get us there? Globalization of knowledge. Anne mentioned a flat world. There are cross-cultural and multilingual challenges. Languages of the world in 2050, the hegemony of English. You know, in the 18th century, the French was everything, okay? Today, it's English is everything. But let's not be too narrow-minded that it'll always be English. In fact, there are some predictions that say it's changing faster than we think. Look at the slope, and I'm going to show you another slide. This looks like a very gentle slope, but I'll show you another slide shortly. Yesterday in the conversation, it was brought up, does it even matter? By 2050, will it even matter what language you speak? Will you not have the translation?